The views, opinions, and information shared during the KC Youth Services podcast series belong solely to the individuals involved. Any recommendations or advice given during the podcast is general in nature and does not replace the need to seek professional advice where necessary. If you are in need of urgent assistance, please call 000 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800.
The City of Casey proudly acknowledges the traditional owners, Casey's Aboriginal communities and their rich culture, and pays respect to their elders past, present and future. We acknowledge Aboriginal people as Australia's first peoples and as the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we work and live. I would also like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast today gratefully on Bunurong country.
Hello everyone and welcome to Season 4, Episode 3 of KC Youth Services podcast. Once again, I'm Natalie and today we're talking with Dylan from CMY LeMana. Welcome to you.
Bulavanaka Natalie, thank you for having myself on this podcast. For those listening in, my name is Dylan. I am from Fiji and I'm part of the LeMana project team within the Centre for Multicultural Youth, and I work as the research project officer and here representing our team and the great work that we're doing in community.
Yes, I'm super excited to have a chat with you today and hear what you're up to. So we always start with an icebreaker question, which I didn't prep you for, but today's is, what's a movie that you have never seen and now you are actively avoiding it because you don't want to see it, so you can say that you haven't?
Oh, a movie that I'm actively avoiding. That would have to be probably Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh. What in particular is making you avoid that one?
Because of the hype and of how good I'm reading it's been, and a lot of people have recommended that it's definitely a good movie to watch. I think it's already sort of spoilt it for me. I'm one of those people that like to form my own opinion of things, and I have a family that like to talk throughout movies and critique every bit of it. So I think, given I've heard enough of that movie, I probably won't watch that. That's
a good choice. Yeah.
As unfortunate as it is, because I hear it is a really good movie. So, and it seems to be in everyone's top 5 or 10 of best movies. So I'll probably avoid that one.
Yes, I can't say I've actually ever seen it myself. Not that I've actively avoided it. Mine is a bit more generic in the Twilight series. I have not seen any of those and I am actively avoiding them now because it really annoys and surprises people when they ask, like, have you seen? Nope, I have not seen it. I know the whole story, but I've never seen it. I'm glad that you were able to think of something on the fly there. So we use a lot of acronyms and abbreviations in the workplace. Within our own team, we actually have one which is the YICS, which stands for our Youth Information Centres. But your actual organisation is an acronym. So can you explain what CMY actually stands for?
Sure. The CMY stands for the Centre for Multicultural Youth, and it is a non-for-profit organisation based in Victoria, providing specialist knowledge and support to young people from migrant, refugee and Pasifika backgrounds. I think a big part of being a part of CMY and the LeMana Pasifika project is something that I feel really privileged to be able to work in the space that I am around and with my culture. And CMY empower all of its workers, staff, casuals, volunteers to be able to do that. And I think that only makes for better productivity and a better working environment if people can be who they are. And that's something that I really appreciate about CMY.
And how long have you been in this role for?
So I've just been in this role for just over a year.
Congratulations.
As of last month. Thank you. And I initially came on board through the COVID task force, the Victorian government help funding. My focus was the southeast corridor of Metro Melbourne, and we've also got a northwest team. So there's 2 of us that came on at the time, and I've been really privileged to be able to stay on past sort of that project timeline, and now I've moved into research and many other areas of the team that they need help with. So it's been really good.
It sounds really cool. It's always nice when a job moves into another job and just sort of flows.
Yes. I think I'm understanding that. I'm very happy that that I got to stay on. So, but again, I do acknowledge that I am in a very privileged position. It's not too often, being of Pasifika background, that you find a role and a team that is led by Pasifika professionals, the community you work with, community members from your own community, but the wider Pasifika community, and in particular young people. So being able to combine all of those facets of working life is, it's been amazing and very rewarding.
Yeah, that sounds like a really nice way to sort of bring family life and your work together.
Yes, and it can also be, I won't say disadvantaged, but it does have its moments, particularly, with the Pasifika community and just the culture. We're very collective and we're very communal. So, it's a common thing that within our team that your hours may be 9 to 5, but really you're a 24-hour on call, it's, and that's just our community, I think when your community hears that when other community members are in those positions, and that support is there, obviously they'll take advantage of that. And I think that's what we want anyway. But it does get quite challenging when you're getting 2 a.m. phone calls from community, but you take that.
I can imagine 2 a.m. is not a nice time. Nobody wants to get a call at that time, work or life related. I know that you do work with a lot of Pasifika community through the LeMana project. So is there any other cultures that you work with within the city of Casey?
So the LeMana Pasifika project is a project team that sits within CMY, which predominantly focuses on supporting Pasifika youth in a range of different services, focusing mainly in Casey, Dandenong and Cardinia, but also we have a presence in the northwest in Hume, Brimbank and Wyndham, but we're across many other LGAs as well, but those are our primary focus areas. We do support young people from other diverse range of backgrounds if they are part of our program and some of the things that we're doing, but our main focus and primary focus is Pasifika young people.
Because the Pasifika community, that's actually quite large. Like when people say Pacific, they're like, oh, it's only a small area, but it's actually quite large, isn't it?
Yes. So it covers everywhere from the top of Papua New Guinea, coming all the way down to New Zealand, and then going as far as Samoa, Tonga and Fiji. So it's quite a big triangle that the Pacific covers. And within the Pacific, there are 3 major groups, Melanesia, Micronesia and Polynesia. So many people may not know that. So within Polynesia, I think the most ones people would be familiar with is Polynesia. So they're predominantly Samoan, Tongans, Hawaiians, and then you've got Micronesia, which is, where's my compass? Just east of Queensland, which is Nauru, Federated States of Micronesia, and then you've got Melanesia, which is Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands. There's quite a number of us in the Pacific, but also big presence here in Victoria as well.
Yeah, that's a massive area to cover.
Yes, yeah. But again, I think, for me personally, I think it's something that I've always been wanting to do, and I'm lucky that fortunate that there's a space there that I can do this on a daily basis, but we definitely need more.
What sort of age rate, are you only working with, because we work with youth, but are you working with adults as well in the family in conjunction with the youth? Depending
on I guess the type of service. So our main focus is 12 to 25 is the age range for young people. Now we have sort of an understanding within our culture that you can be over 25 and still be considered as a young person. And in many Pacific Islander countries, if you could be, for example, 32, as long as you're not married, you are considered technically within the culture as a young person.
That's interesting.
So, yes, and I fit that boat, and I get reminded about that every day by family members having to want me to change that. But I guess it feels good. It does feel good that I'm still considered a young person, and I'll probably take that until I've got grey hair.
It means that you can relate with the people that you're working with.
I hope so.
I had a conversation with a young person yesterday, and they were like, because their mum was there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not cool," and I'm like, "Well, we like to think we're cool, but we're probably not."
They're probably just putting up with this.
Yeah,
really.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So I know that there is a very successful activity that's being run in partnership with LeMana and the KCU services called Late Night Hoops on Fridays.
Yes.
I have heard it is really going off and it is so much fun. But can you tell me a little bit about that program and other ones that you guys run?
Yes. So Late Night Hoops is an event in partnership with KC Youth Services that we run every Friday night. And there's one happening tonight from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. And it's really focused on allowing space and creating a safe and inclusive space for Pasifika young people, but I'll also say other young people as well that want to come down and get active, play a bit of sport, connect with their culture and community, and maybe just want to just have a chill session and just relax, observe, and maybe just have a chat with other young people and meet new people. The event is averaging around 140 young people a night. What started as a trial basis towards the end of last year, I think the success of that has seen that come again to this year. And the LeMana team have recently just compiled a case study because it's been a great opportunity for not only young people, the community, family members to come along too, but it also allows us and gives us an opportunity to connect and capture some of these emerging needs and insights from young people to see what's happening in community, what's urgent to them, and finding out the types of support they need, which has really been good. So yeah, we're averaging about 140 a night. I think since we started this year, we're turning over just over 400 new young people, which is really good for the project.
That's huge.
Which is it's been really good, and the great thing is that in our case study we are covering over 20 plus LGAs, so we're getting young people coming from the west side, north, south, east, which has really been good. So we do have a registration desk where young people just come in, sign their name, give some of those basic details, just so we've got that safety and risk for the night sorted. But we also ask them to take just put down their LGA or suburbs that they're in, and yeah, we're covering quite a bit of Metro Melbourne. So we've got young people turning up from Melton and Tarneit and Sunshine, and it's happening here in the southeast. So
yeah, that's
the dedication, and yeah, it's I think I'd struggle to want to leave home at 9 o'clock on a Friday to go play some hoops or volleyball on the other side of town. But word of mouth has really got out there. I think that's a strength of LeMana, is the young people are connected far greater than the actual team is. They're talking with each other every day, and they're connected through schools, rugby, church associations, groups, dance groups. So it's been a really good space. We're hoping that it can carry on for the rest of the year. But no, it's been a good avenue for us to see exactly what's going on in community and talk to some of these young people and their families, and not only with covering the LGAs within Melbourne, but we're actually seeing quite a diverse range of multicultural backgrounds also come through. So what was focusing on Pasifika young people is now turned into really focusing on young people within Southeast, and particularly Casey. We're getting non-Māori and Pasifika young people come through, First Nations and Indigenous young people come through, young people from the African and South Sudanese communities are coming through. Yeah, so it's been really good, and I'm looking forward to tonight again.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely incredible. I've heard the numbers slowly growing, and the last when I heard there was like 100 and something, I'm like, what? That's a lot of people in one place.
Yeah, the sports courts do get quite competitive as well, so that's always good to see. But I think one of the good things that we're taking away from is that people have told us that they come there, get a sweat. It's probably the only time throughout their week, particularly with the older kids and I guess younger parents, it's their time to be active and sort of get out of home. They've had a long week at work and things like that, or just had a stressful week. They come in and blow some steam off and connect with their culture, community. So it's been really good.
That's great. And it's really good that you're actually getting information about like stuff that is going on in the community, so then you can make programs or projects that are going to help
Yeah.
with that stuff too.
Yeah, I think a big challenge with LeMana in the past is being able to, I guess, pull some of that data together, and a really big focus in all of our programs and sort of now moving forward is making sure we take advantage of the programs or services that we're running to, connect with a few young people, some parents, community leaders, just to get their insights rather than having to organise specific sort of nights for that. We'll do that again tonight, and hopefully we can sort of use that information and the feedback they've given us to sort of go to services and government to say, hey, this is what our community is asking for. Let's look at ways of collaborating and getting them the support.
It's great that a recreational program has now become a way of making life easier for people, because that's pretty much what our job is
Yes.
to help people and get through this thing that we call life. And yeah, that it's so much information, good information that is freely being given.
Yeah, and it's for us, it's been able to expand our reach a little, particularly with our disengaged youth. I think when the program initially started, we were seeing young people that we're working in schools together with, or we see them through the cultural dance groups and community organisations that we closely work with. But as numbers have grown, we're getting in touch with disengaged youth or youth that haven't been aware of the LeMana project and the work CMY does. So yeah, that's been able to expand our reach, connect with them, build a broader base, and give us some good evidence for doing more advocacy work.
Perfect. Well, you have definitely covered the Late Night Hoops project. Is there any other activities at the moment you've got running?
So our youth leadership group, the LeMana Wayfinders, is a youth leadership group within the Southeast. They actually just completed their school holiday program yesterday. So if you're listening to this was on Thursday, the 20th of April, which was held down at Lynbrook. And it was just about bringing young people together for the school holidays. And it was really an initiative that was youth-led and facilitated, which is a first for LeMana, for us to be able to, in particular the staff, take a step back and really let our youth leadership team lead it, facilitate it, coordinate and organise. And they did an amazing job.
So
the target
nice when
was
you see that sort of stuff happen.
It was really a good day. They've smashed it. The target was around 50 young people. It was one of the newer events that they've tried to pull together, and for the day we ended up having a turnover of about 85 young people come through. And yeah, we were getting registrations up until towards the end of the actual day, really. So it was really good, and I think that's definitely what we want to see from our youth leadership groups is making sure that they feel empowered to do some of the things that they're wanting to do, but feel supported also. And it was a big test that the team sort of looked at and said, okay, it'll be a good test for them to pull it together, and they've completely smashed it. So it's been really good, and I think we'll be handing over the reins for every school program now to them, because they're a really good group of young people, very diverse, and they bring together their own lived experiences and their expertise in particular areas. And to see yesterday sort of come to fruition was I couldn't shout them out enough.
Well, how can our listeners become part of this youth leadership group so they can come and do some awesome activities too?
Sure. So if you're a Pasifika young person within the city of Casey, Dandenong, Cardenio, or just in the southeast of Victoria, if you want to be a part of the youth leadership group, you can simply connect with us on our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. So we've got several pages on Instagram. And if you want to connect with the Southeast team, it's lemana.southeast. That's the handle. Just send us a message and we'll happily bring you into the fold, send you details and get you connected with the group. Our chair, Joey, and our secretary, Leanne, do a great job of spreading the message along with the other team members of bringing more young people into the group. There isn't a registration process of any sort. So if you're connected with your however you're connected with community, your church, school, sports club, and just other or school, and you're looking to getting into the leadership space, reach out to them, and they'll definitely reach out to us. We are connected to to a lot of those groups that we work with. But again, connect with us through social media. Go to Centre for Multicultural Youth's website. Our details are on that as well. Or reach out to KC Youth Services, who will happily connect us with you. So or just turn up to the office. There's always someone here.
Definitely. Yeah, we would definitely pass on any inquiries. So I'm hoping that, it sounds like a great project. And Wavefinder, where did that come from? That is a cool name.
Yes, I'm actually going to, I probably won't talk on that because I actually don't know how that came about, but it would have significant connection to the Pasifika culture. The Pasifika people are, I'm being biased here, but we're probably the greatest navigators back in the day, prior to compasses and things like that. And I think wayfinding speaks to the journey of Pasifika people finding their identity and connection through land and especially sea. So I'll leave it at that, but it would have a deep connection to the Pasifika culture and the navigation expertise our forefathers and forebears had.
That sounds very, very interesting. I wish I had a title like that. So you have spoken a lot just then about the event that was put on last night. So you've said it was very, very successful, but would you say that's the most rewarding and successful activity that or program you've been involved with, or have you got another one in mind?
In terms of the most rewarding and successful, firstly, I just want to acknowledge that I'm in a very privileged position, and to work in a space where I'm working with a team of Pasifika professionals alongside the community, its leaders and young people, for the betterment of young people in the community. I think that, for me personally, in itself is rewarding. It's not every day that a lot of young people or just people get to be in this space. So I think for me personally, I think any project or program that LeMana runs with the support of CMY, if one person walks away feeling more informed, more comfortable, more open-minded, or sort of expands the ideas of what they want to do in life, in post-high school, or can sort of help them navigate their young life, I think that in itself is rewarding again. But I think every program we do, it's for a purpose. So, I know there are some services out there that and government that rely heavily on numbers, and I think our project isn't about numbers. It's about building that connection, and I think that's embedded because of our culture that we all come from. And I think the young people community connect with that. The feedback we're getting and receiving, it's definitely having a footprint. But again, I think any program or service that we can put on for young people in the community is successful. It's definitely something that I wish I had in the community when I was a young fella. But the fact that I can be a part of that, and I think for my colleagues as well, I think the fact that they can be a part of it and bringing in the community our culture and young people, I think it's rewarding in itself.
Sounds really good. It is nice when it's not a program in particular, it's literally just your job, the day-to-day job that you just like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I was speaking with a young person this morning who's looking to get into community sector space and youth workspace. She was really wanting to be in a space where she was working alongside her community, and unfortunately, given just how the structure of the team is built and sort of how the project is funded, would love more and more young people to come through and be able to work in the space and be able to do it on a daily basis. So, I don't take this position lightly. I know that I'm just merely a caretaker, and, when my time is up and it's time for the next young person to come through, I'll happily move on because of the limitations we have within the community. I think it's important that we're not here for the next 30 years. We're allowing those young people to come through, and I think that's another form of empowerment. If our young people can see that there's a pathway, whether it's education, employment, mainstream services, it's something that they can strive towards or want to be a part of, particularly for the community. That should always be a goal of ours in the back of our minds.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. And yeah, as you said, not sticking around for 30 years. It's though as you said, if you remain unmarried and
but it's something I knew coming into this space, that we're merely placeholders. We're not here for make your impact but bring the community and young people with you, because the Pasifika community definitely need more professionals in spaces such as mental health, education, employment. And I think that if they can see that there is spaces being created for them, by their own, they'll definitely want to pursue it further.
Definitely. So we touched a little bit on the activities that you do, but how do you actually choose what is going to be, you think, impactful? Is there a lot of involvement from young people in the community deciding what you're going to do?
Short answer, yes. So a lot of our programs and services that we do run is youth informed. It's really great that we have 2 youth leadership groups. So we've got one here in the southeast and one in the northwest. And our teams do a lot of work in working alongside with them to be able to bring them into our work plans and creating programs that we get their feedback. Because again, if young people don't want it, there's no point in creating it for them. And I think we can only get that advice when we bring them into the fold, consult them, co-design with them. We've recently held some projects where a lot of 90% of the project was co-designed with young people, and I think they find benefits from that. Again, we're all about wanting to empower our young people and support them, train them, build their skills, but also using their lived experiences and their own expertise to be able to be brought into the program and then inform the programs and services that we run. And that's also done with community organisations and leaders. So one of the things we really do find beneficial and something that we do want to keep promoting is our collaboration and connection that we have with our community. If you're working for community, you need to be bringing them into the fold and helping, getting their input, getting their feedback, taking that on board and actually implementing it, and not just using it in a tokenistic way to further our own goals. So yeah, it's all of our programs are all youth informed, community informed, and that's something I'm really proud of the team, and it's something that I've never been used to before coming into this space. So to be able to do that is again very rewarding, and I think that's why our programs have a lot of success. Case in point, Late Night Hoops. It's young people telling us what they want to do. And that also helps us improve a lot of our programs as well. So we're also, we run education programs, employment programs, mainstream services. We do some support around cultural training with mainstream services. Again, for us, it's about trying to get these mainstream services and providers to understand how to best engage the community. And that information is passed on and informed through our young people and the connections we have with the community. So, yeah, all of our programs and services are all youth informed. Some are youth led, community led. We rely heavily on the feedback and information that we get from, and the advice that we get from our young people and community.
So would you say that you, say a young person's that's listening to this, I've got a great idea for a program. How do they go about letting you know about that? Is it a group that you've already done and you get feedback from them about how to improve it and what they think would work? Who are these people? How do you get this information?
So a lot of that is within our youth leadership groups. So with the 2 youth leadership groups, there's about 20 young people in each group from diverse range backgrounds of the Pacific. Now, they could be professionals working in their own right within the schools. They could just be coming out of high school. They could be in university, or they could be unemployed at this time and trying to figure out what they want to do. We always go with them with an idea, or they can come to us with an idea of what they want to do, and that would be on the LeMana team to help support that, and vice versa. And I think one of the big things, particularly around our education school programs, is that because we do have young people who are working in the schools alongside our young people, they've got that first-hand experience and sort of insights into what's happening with our young people, what they want to do, what's sort of important to them and what's emerging, and then we can help incorporate some of that into our services and programs. So I like to think it's a two-way street. It's not top-bottom, it's bottom-up. Yeah, again, this just speaks to the connection that we have as a community, and not just LeMana, but the community in general. You know, outside of LeMana, we're still connected within our own church groups, our faith organisations, our cultural dance groups, our sporting groups, and we probably see everyone around in, you know, every other day and most times of the day. So yeah, it just helps that working in the space under LeMana that we can take some of that first-hand knowledge that we're getting back and, you know, bringing that into the fold and then coming up with a plan, but then making sure that our young people and community know this is what we want to do, this is what we're thinking of doing, what are the improvements, what is your advice on how to make it better, and then going from there.
That sounds super helpful and super informative and just, as you said, bottom up.
Yeah, I think that's the approach that we should always take. And again, I'm ticking over the 30 box, and you know, even though I'm technically a young person, some of the things that young people are going through now I couldn't relate to. And again, you need to consult with them and co-design things with them in order to get the outcomes that you want for them and that they want from the programs and projects such as LeMana. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do anything without getting some feedback and knowledge first.
Definitely makes sense. Well, do you, from the information that you've sort of got from community and stuff, do you have a dream program that you would like to do? Like, money is no option. You can just do whatever you want, as huge and big as you want. What's your thinking?
One of the school programs, the 10-week programs that LeMana runs within schools, I'd like to see that in every school, regardless of whether there are young people, Pasifika young people in there. And that just adds to the cultural training, you know, the school and education system could benefit from. You know, it's unfortunate that Pasifika young people have, based on the last findings that I've read, it represent 12% of youth justice, yet we're only 1% of Victoria's population. And, you know, I think early intervention, getting into the schools and keeping them engaged with schools is definitely probably a program I'd like to see for the long term. And if money wasn't a problem, that would probably, yeah, besides the standalone, that would definitely be one that I'd like to see grow and expand into every school and not just those schools with a big cohort of Pasifika young people.
That would be a really good program. How can young people from the community participate in the activities that you run? Do they need to register, or is it just see it on the socials and they can come?
So yeah, it depends on the type of program that we're running. So one of the things that LeMana is trying to really improve on is building our database and our taking evidence-based approach to things. So we have slowly started implementing a simple one-page of registration with our programs that we're running, and that's, you know, it can be a barrier. I know, you know, young people just want to turn up and participate, but I think it's important for us to be able to put into those measures, just to be able to collect some details, but also, you know, some feedback on what's happening in the community. For example, we do have a program that we did run yesterday with our youth leadership group. You can just turn up on the day if you are looking at it on our socials. We do encourage registration just so we can get an idea of, you know, what we need to prepare for. The Pasifika community like having a massive feed at everything, so, you know, it does help us.
Yeah,
when
if
we
you've
can
got
get an idea of
10 people registered but 100 turn up, that's not a good feed.
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't. We want to make sure everyone is fed and full. It does depend on the particular program. We recently finished the first round of Sayiliala education workshops that LeMana, in partnership with NRL Victoria and Swinburne University, just completed the first week of school holidays. That's the type of program that we will go out to community on our social media and seek interest. We'll send out expression of interests, because, you know, those type of programs have a cap on it, and, you know, we'll actually need to have a one-off meet and greet session to talk to these young people and let them know what the type of program is and sort of what the outcomes are and what's needed. So things like that, yes, you know, expressions of interest will go out to community. We'll go out on all the Facebook community groups seeking expressions to join. But if it's things like late night hoops, feel free just to turn up on the night. It's nothing but just letting us know what your name is and giving us an emergency number, and go spend 3 hours sweating and talking with and interacting with other people. So yeah, it just depends, but most of the time it's a pretty straightforward process. It's nothing too heavy, and and I think through COVID, our young people and definitely our older generation within the community definitely know how to use a QR code now and been forced to do that. So I think that I think that was a little advantage of that period. Yes. But knock on wood, we don't go back there.
Yes, there is QR codes everywhere nowadays. So that's the end of another episode today. Thank you very much, Dylan. That was all very, very informative. I feel like I am part of the community now. Yes,
no, thank you for having me. And again, it's an honour to represent LeMana, but also the community. And thank you for having us a part of this podcast. So appreciate it.
That's okay. We're really looking forward to hearing more of what's going to happen. So thank you all the listeners for tuning in again. We hope you have enjoyed listening to Dylan talk about his great community and you've learnt something along the way. Also, the best way to stay up to date with all things Casey Youth is to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our account is @Casey Youth Services. Keep an eye out for the Late Night Hoops posts. They go up every Friday. And if you do go, let us know and tell us what you thought. Is there any feedback you can give? We will pass it on to the guys at LeMana Pasifika. Once again, thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
And everyone else, take care and stay safe.